Hey everybody, uh, it's me and my fat Siamese, and I just wanted to. Well, we just ow, she's biting me now. She was licking at me a moment ago, and then she started biting me. Typical Siamese. Um, I wanted to talk about with reference to what I talked about yesterday. The okay, all right. Let me keep my distance from this one now. She's getting a little cranky. Um, the school board meetings and how they became politicized, and how the director of the FBI under Biden's administration decided that it was time to really put the screws to these angry, belligerent parents who keep showing up at school board meetings and not being compliant to the administration, and not being compliant to the agenda that is being pushed by the school boards. How dare they be there and register their noncompliance, and be all angry and huffy and speak disrespectfully to these bureaucrats who certainly demand our greatest, utmost respect. These school board members. Well, in that video yesterday, I made reference to the stuff going on with the school board meetings, and I also talked about how, like a month or a month and a half ago, there was suddenly this flurry of stories in media, legacy media, mainstream media outlets, venues, where it was all about how suddenly everybody's unruly. All the airline passengers are getting unruly and rude, and how they're making life a living hell for the good and uh, and deeply just-minded airline staff and crew. And there was very little response to those stories. I didn't hear anyone say, "Hey, wait a minute, what's with this sudden rash of stories about how how airline passengers are suddenly really, uh, really just suck, are just rude and temperamental and angry and hateful and bitter and the all patient, the patience of the staff is just being tested by these unruly peons who dare to get on planes. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to ride on a plane. That was the attitude of these articles that were written. You know. And they were abusing that privilege. Now, I'm making the connection between these two rashes of stories. Uh, the rash of stories that came up about airline passengers, and now the sudden rash of stories, and this Saturday Night Live sketch, which is all about how parents who attend school board meetings and who express themselves against things like mandatory masks, against things like critical race theory, and so forth, how they're just a bunch of stupid redneck ignoramuses. And so, we're seeing a pattern, aren't we? We're seeing a certain template that's being used. And I would just say to my thousands of loyal viewers, my army, if you will, of loyal viewers who do my every bidding, I would just command all of thee out there, look in my eyes as I hypnotize you. I would command all of you. Well, I would say to all of you, uh, jokes aside, jokes of my megalomania aside, I would say look out for further stories which, paint the sort of rustic, redneck, unruly rabble in a negative light, and show them and try to prop up the officially placed people, uh, whether they're airline staff, whether they're school board members presiding over a school board meeting, or whatever other circumstances might arise. Just be on the lookout for more stories like this, because it seems to me they are attempting to frame this entire notion, and see this idea out there and put it in people's minds that this whole domestic terrorist specter, the specter of domestic, quote unquote, domestic terrorism. The letter written by the board, the whatever conglomerate it was representing all school boards, asking for the FBI to intervene. They actually cited the Patriot Act. They cited the Patriot Act and said, there's precedent here. We've got the Patriot Act. Remember the Patriot Act? Remember when liberals actually, and libertarians too, but liberals, anti-Bush people despised and reviled the Patriot Act? I remember it wasn't that long ago, and they were right. They were correct to do so, and now they love it, don't they? Now that they have recourse to the strings of the manipulations of power, they say, hey, well, we got this Patriot Act thing. We could use that against these people we don't like, who are opposing us, who have the gall to come up in public and oppose us. These unruly dads and moms. How dare they want to have some role in what their kids are being taught in public schools? How dare they? So again, it just shows there's really no principle amongst the ruling class right now. It's just all about what they can use at any given time. And now, since they can use the Patriot Act for their own benefit, since it's no longer being directed against Muslim Middle Easterners, but being directed against mostly white Middle Americans, now they're going to try to wield it for their own benefit. And the media machine is working to try to spread and seed these ideas into people's minds, to seed the idea that there's just a bunch of people out there who are wild and unruly and dangerous and can't be trusted, probably are gun owners. They'll throw that out there, who these people have access to firearms. That's going to be part of the mix. That's part of their whole propaganda effort. So be on the lookout for that. And I say this, not as someone who is a populist. I don't believe in the inherent goodness of the people. I don't believe that by any stretch. But right now, at this point, I would rather be led, if I had to be led by anyone, under the barrel of a gun, I would prefer the honest will of the majority to the malignant, malicious elite, mostly unelected elite, who are attempting to steer the ship right now. So again, be on the lookout for more and more cases like this in the future. Be on the lookout for this type of framing of the peasants with pitchforks, the rednecks, the the unruly, uncouth, dumb, stupid outsiders. The ones challenging the officials, the ones with the temerity to be rude on airplane, to pull their mask down over their nose while being on an airplane. Imagine the temerity to do that, to do something like that, or to want their son, who's 2 years old, having an asthma attack, to take the mask off of their son. Which of course we didn't hear. We didn't hear about that side of the story. We never heard about airline staff being rude to passengers, being bossy, being authoritarian to passengers. That was never the way it was framed. And the way it's framed now is, again, the peasants with pitchforks, the anti-CRT, anti-masker, anti-vaxxers. These parents, these middle American parents, are the bad guys. But there's, the good news is there seems to be a backlash against this obvious effort to demonize these kinds of people. But just be on the lookout for this, for them to try to advance this more and more. And when you see it, just call it and say, I know what they're doing here. This is yet another continuation of the same effort that they began way back with all the airline passenger stories. Okay. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Andy Nowicki, ultrarightnovelist.com.